The higher people live in a building, the safer they feel about leaving windows open. First floor? Absolutely not. What if someone climbs in? First floor? Well, maybe. People aren't going to climb up there, that's for sure, but still, don't leave them open if you're going on vacation. Anything above that seems pretty safe. Some windows people leave open literally all the time. I mean, what are the dangers that trip you up that high up? If you live above the 10th floor, you don't want to find out. Leaving a window open can be the most innocent and serious mistake you can make. I'm not warning you about falling off the windowsill. Even windows that can only be opened an inch are dangerous. If there is even the slightest way in, he will find it. Stories of the creature that floats ran when I was a child. Kids claimed that at night they saw something slowly floating down the street at about 100 feet. Everyone had different descriptions of the phenomenon. A small glowing ball, a creature with red eyes, a dark cylinder. But all the stories had the same notes. Around 3 a.m., they all looked out their bedroom window. They all saw something high in the sky, but not too high. They all immediately felt fear, even though nothing bad had actually happened, and they had to turn away. Now I found out why. I live on the 11th floor of this student dormitory. There are a few other people living in the kitchen. I don't know them very well. We talk only out of necessity, although I think some of them are friends with each other. In any case, this means that whenever I am home, I am in my bedroom. I usually wake up pretty late, whether it's to play or study, usually the former. Although last night wasn't either. I've been under a lot of stress lately and found myself sitting on my bed looking out the window. It was slightly ajar to let in a light breeze. I don't know how long I sat like that, it was just relaxing. It was nice to look at all the night people. Some are clearly drunk and others are just walking around like it's not midnight. It is the second group that I find the most interesting. I catch myself making up stories, where they might go at this hour, who they are, and whether they do it regularly. At one point, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something not below or high up, something at my level. It was hard to see it in the dark. I wasn't so much looking at it as I was looking at its silhouette as it moved in front of the dimly lit windows of the building across the street. There was a light on in the room directly across the street, and the curtains were open, and it was the best source of light I had. It didn't look like any kind of shape to me, more like a cloud of smoke. One that didn't rise, but just moved in an unnatural way. I immediately remembered childhood stories of the creature that floats. It began to approach my window, slowly, and even slower, but still moving. All the while I kept looking back, as if something was already in the room. This thing made me feel on edge. I thought that once it finally reached my window, I would be able to see it clearly. Seeing it, my imagination got carried away. Oh, it's just a bag in the wind, is what I was hoping to think. Instead, I found my bedroom window closed, blackness everywhere. It was as if my view of the city had become a window into the void. I became dizzy and my vision diminished. It was as if looking at it was wrong. Every bone in my body was telling me to look away. But I'm glad I didn't, because I noticed that some of the smoke was starting to seep through the cracks of the window. I'd never closed it so quickly. I even locked it, which I never do, because why would you do that if you live so high up? I immediately felt a little better. The view slowly returned as the being that soars moved away. I had to lie down for a while and clear my head. I had a headache, and it seemed to be punishing me for not looking away. Despite this, as soon as it cleared, I sat up again and looked out the window. I noticed that the light in the room across from me was no longer on. At least that's what I thought until I took a closer look. It was there. It had closed their window and gotten in. Their window must have been open more than mine because it didn't take it long for it to get in. I never saw it leave because at that point I closed the curtains and never looked outside again. This morning people are talking about a man who was found dead across the street. I don't know for sure, but my gut tells me he must have lived in the room I saw him enter. I haven't told anyone what I know yet. I'm afraid to, but today I've been thinking about what this thing is. I think I understand his behavior now. It's understandable that it feeds on people, but what if it also hates being seen? He only travels at night. High enough that he's not illuminated by streetlights, but low enough that he can climb through windows. It always has a different shape to each person, the one that scares them, not the one that scares them. People like to look at things that scare them, but we always turn away from things that we find creepy. Everything about it seems to show that it hates to be seen. A silent killer that only targets those who think they are safe and makes sure you never see it. So if you live above the 10th floor, don't leave your windows open. Not unless you're prepared to face the creature that hovers.